In the summer of 2017, so going on 4 years ago, I had to have some face surgery to remove a tumor, and a big part of my nose was removed and reconstructed. So you might remember I was out for about 6 weeks at that time, and it was healing that fall, and gradually the scars were becoming a little bit less noticeable. But most of my family had not seen me until Thanksgiving Day. So on that particular Thanksgiving, we gathered at my sister's house. My sister's kids, along with their children, came in. So the little kids, my sister's grandchildren, most of them were primary grades or preschoolers, and a lot of them came in. I don't even know if they noticed me. Maybe they said hi, but then they went quickly to run and play with their cousins. All of them except for my nephew's daughter, Kendall. Kendall at that time was about 6 years old. And she stopped. And she looked at me. And she studied my face. And finally she said, "Uncle Herb, what happened to your nose?" Isn't it great? Kids are direct. What happened to your nose? So I tried to explain in kids' language that there had been some surgery, and how do you explain a tumor to a kid? But anyhow, I tried to explain it, and she looked like she was taking it all in. And then she said, "Well, did it hurt?" And truthfully, I could say, "Well, no, not really." And then she kept looking, and she said, "Can I touch it?" Well, I looked over her shoulder, and her dad, my nephew, was standing there, and I kind of looked at him, and he just shrugged his shoulder. So I said to her, "Sure, you may." So very gently, she picked up her hand, and she took her finger and traced the scar around my nose, and she kind of examined the whole thing. When she was finished, she just stopped, and then she made the pronouncement, "I like it." With that, she ran away and played with the other kids. I got the seal of endorsement from her. Approval. I like it. That came back to my mind when I was thinking about Thomas, because he kept boldly saying, "I need to put my finger into the nail prints of Jesus' hands. I need proof. I need to be up close. I need to see it. Otherwise, I'm not going to quite accept it." Now, Thomas is considered doubting Thomas because he doesn't believe, but eventually he's believing Thomas because he does believe. In fact, that wonderful pronouncement at the end, "My Lord and my God." What an incredible statement of belief. Most of us are more like that first part, where we do not have the direct contact with Jesus in the flesh. And so we have to come to believe through the testimony of other people. They're intermediaries for most of us in our own faith journey. The intermediary could be someone else who has very strong faith. That's why we surround ourselves with other people of faith. We need it as a reminder. It could be that we read the words of or biographies of the saints, and we realize how they came to believe, and that inspires us. It could be the scriptures themselves, that we read the passage and we say, "Okay, I don't get to see Jesus in the flesh, but I will believe." But Thomas couldn't do that. Even his best friends, those other apostles that were gathered together, they said, "We have seen the Lord," and that just wasn't enough for him. Instead of having the testimony of someone else, he wanted to be upfront and close and personal. So where are we? We have the testimony of others. That's part of our faith journey. But I'd like to suggest we could be more like Thomas and see Jesus up front and close. We could have that experience. Maybe not in the flesh, literally, but we could see him more personally than most of us realize. 3 quick steps if we want to see Jesus personally. And the very first one is to invite him in. We have to invite him to be part of our life. You know, it says the doors were locked. That did not stop Jesus from coming in. But for a lot of us, it's not locked doors. It's a locked heart or a locked mind. Like we're not open to new understanding. We kind of stay where we were and don't you dare disturb me because I'm stuck in the way I've always visioned things. In other words, we have to be more open and see it in a new light. The second thing is we have to go where Jesus can be found. I love this line from the song, seek the Lord where he may be found. You can't find Jesus where Jesus is not. It's like that old story, you've heard the story, about the man who's out on the street at night and he's under the street light and you can tell he's looking for something. The other guy comes along and what are you looking for? Well, my car keys, I dropped them. Well, where do you think you dropped them? And he said, oh, I know I dropped them over there, but it's way too dark to look over there. You're not going to find them where they're not. We're not going to find Jesus where he is not to be found. And it has amazed me over the years. People say, I just feel so distant from God, so I stopped going to church. And my prayer doesn't do anything for me, so I stopped praying. And I will say, if there's any way that you start finding God, if there's any way that your prayers start really speaking to you, it's when you immerse yourself in them. When you get closer to the Lord. Seek the Lord where he can be found. So you seek the Lord, you open the heart and mind, and then there's a third thing. If we want to have that personal connection that Thomas had, and that is to pay attention. To be aware of what Jesus is actually saying to us every single day. I love St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, who said that we should end every day by taking time to become aware of God working in our life during the course of the day. He calls it the great examine. Usually it's translated examination of conscience, maybe looking at what we've done wrong. That could be part of it, and that's good. But actually, he looked at it in a bigger sense. Examination of consciousness. How conscious are we of the way God has worked in our hearts during the course of that day? This is what we're doing. We can have the upfront and personal connection. But there is another little insight into this gospel. We've read it so many times. Maybe you've noticed it, maybe you've not. Thomas says, I will not believe unless I can put my finger into the nail prints and my hand into the side. And guess what? He never does. Jesus shows up the week later. He's there. That no longer matters. It's not terribly important. The thing that Thomas said would be the proof that he would need really isn't important anymore. Sometimes we think we've got to have some sort of proof. Otherwise, we can't believe. But with an openness of heart, we don't need that proof. My great niece said, Uncle Herb, I like it. Maybe when we come to really see Jesus face to face in our own hearts, we'll be able to say, I like this experience. And I approve that Jesus, who is alive with me as well.